Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. And as always, we have another amazing guest for you. Um, and before I let you guys know who it is, I just want to remind everybody that what we're doing is for educational purposes only. If you do enjoy these sort of type of conversations, please, by all means, go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe to it, hit that bell notification, leave a comment, and share it with someone that you think that can benefit from these conversations that we're having. And today, I have a really, really awesome guest for you guys. Today's guest is Jorge V. Gonzalez. He is the son of a Mexican immigrant, or son of Mexican immigrant parents and first generation Americans. He spent 20 years in the warehouse distribution and logistics industry before becoming disabled. When he became disabled, he had to reinvent himself and transition to the real estate industry. He is an award winning real estate, uh, all around awesome guy. So, you guys, I'm going to bring my guests up here. And without further ado, you guys, if you're tuning in, let us know where you're from, and be sure to share those comments with us and everything. We can get those comments answered. Without further ado, I'm bringing up my guest. All right, hey, brother, how we doing?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing?
I am doing well, man. I've been looking forward to this conversation, man, since the last time that we talked. I know you've been busy and everything. I was just like, you know what? I got you. I got you. So yeah, man, welcome to the show, brother. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here with you today.
Yes, yes. So before we get started, man, introduce yourself, tell people where you're from, and then tell people a little bit about the work that you do and how you got into it, man.
Yeah, I live in Southern California between LA and Santa Barbara. It's beautiful and sunny here. I live in a place where it's about agriculture, farmland. You know, my family migrated here since back in World War II.
Mm,
Uh, they came. My grandfather came here to Mexico under a program that was called the Bracero program, which was a work agreement between the United States and Mexico. And they just fell in love with this place, and I'm really glad they did because I mean I'm enjoying it here. You know, it's
right.
67 degrees outside. The sun is out. It rained yesterday, but it's beautiful today. You know, I'm a published author. I published my book in 2021. My book is called Answer the Call. It's about finding your gifts, your talents, and pursuing your life's purpose. And I just want to be here on the show. And thank you, Tony, for having me here. Just want to motivate, inspire, and hopefully people learn and really I'm able to touch their hearts in some way, shape, or form. So thank you for having me.
Oh man, the honor is all mine, man. Thank you for agreeing and reaching out. Because without you guys, man, this show wouldn't even be possible. It would just be me up here talking and rambling on and this, that, and other. So you guys, man, every last one of you are amazing. And for you guys to come up here and help the show be what it is, that the things goes both ways. It fills me with gratitude, and you know what I'm saying, you guys give so much, not only to me, but to the audience as well, you know. And since the first time that we talked, you know, like you're going to do exactly that, man. Inspire and help educate, and you know what I'm saying, give so much to the audience and everything. So yeah, man, you know, it goes both ways, man. The handshake goes both ways. You know what I'm saying? That heartfelt gratitude goes both ways, brother. So you know what I'm saying. Let's start inspiring some people, man. Tell people about who you are, and because you're disabled, you're an author, but you got a journey. You got a journey in itself, man. So let's go on that journey, man.
I always like to start at the beginning. You know, when I was in my early teens, I always had this knowing and this feeling that I was special. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always believed that I had a calling on my life. I just didn't know what that was because I was so young. I hadn't even lived yet, you know, but I believed and my faith was so strong that when the time was right, certain things would expose themselves to me for me to understand who I really was. And now that I'm an adult and I wrote the book, I was able to connect the pieces going all the way down to my childhood, and everything was a journey. Everything was a journey, and everything that I went through as far as struggles and adversity was because it was a
Mm-hmm.
lesson that I had to bring forward for me to become a new version of myself, a better version of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and But when I was 21 years old, I went through a very difficult time and went through depression, went through suicidal thoughts, just like a lot of people do and stuff like that. And but the only thing that kept me going at that time was that my father was sick, and my father had been given 6 months to live, and so it was really hard on me because I was living on my own already at that time, and I was going to commit suicide. But the thing that stopped me was I had this vision of my mom crying over me after I was gone. So I knocked myself out of that and said, wait a minute, my father is dying from alcoholism because he was an alcoholic. He was given 6 months to live, and now I'm going to take my own life. That's going to be devastating for my mom. So
Yeah.
that pulled me out of it, and I was able to succumb that and pass that. And but my father's, because we gave him like natural herbs and whatnot, he was able to maintain and stay with us for 8 years. And within that time frame, I had a daughter. My daughter was born, and my daughter became her favorite grandchild. And it gave my father a reason to live,
Right.
right? So I really enjoyed those moments with my dad, and my daughter enjoyed those moments with my dad. But I used that journey and that story for my benefit too, because I made sure that I didn't become collateral damage to substance abuse either.
Right.
That I was also drinking as a social drinker, but I go like, wait a minute, I only drank a beer maybe once every 6 months, and that was it. Now I haven't even drank a beer in a minute. It's like I don't even like the taste anymore. So I'm
Right.
using
Right.
that
Yeah.
to discard it, because life is beautiful being sober and being clear-minded. It's beautiful. We can do so much work and help others. But I
Yeah.
think that journey of my father was crucial, and I had to go through that. And sadly, my father, that had to be his journey for me to take that as a lesson. It's almost like he sacrificed himself for the purpose of me sharing the message, you know. And that's what I'm believing. That's what I'm keeping to my heart, that he sacrificed himself to be able to share that story, right? And
Yeah.
to help other people and really hopefully inspire people to get themselves out of the substance problems, because my father didn't want to die when he died, because he knew that not only was his life going to be over, but he wasn't going to be with his wife and his children, and now his grandchildren. So it
Right.
was heartbreaking for him. So by talking about these stories, I'm hoping that also to impact a person and say, wait a minute, George is right. I don't want my wife to go through this heartache, and I don't want my children to go through this, and I definitely don't want my grandchildren to go through this, and I also want to meet all my grandchildren. So that's
Right.
why I talk about this story, and just trying to be a an inspiration to people, that even though that it was a painful moment, we do get past that. We don't forget our loved ones, but we do get past the pain, you know,
This is
and we
true.
just look
Yeah.
for ways to honor their legacy, because that's still their legacy, and
Mm.
honor that.
Yeah. Dude, you just hit some on the head. And I was just talking about what you just said right there, and about honoring the people that that have gone before us and things like that, right? And the pain associated with it. And the work that we do, what I'm saying, being in a position, or have been in the position to where you've almost taken your life, the decisions that, what I'm saying, the drinking and things like that, it's like we walk parallel paths. I told you, I used to be a real bad alcoholic. What I'm saying? um, and it took me a long time to get out of that, right? And when I experienced my first loss that made me pay attention to it, which led into the second loss that really took me over the edge. And what I'm saying, I found myself sitting out in the middle of a desert, about ready to put a bullet in my head because I given up. I was so tired, right? I don't think people understand the depths of what it takes when people, or how you even got to that point, right? The darkness, what I'm saying, the deep tiredness that come along with it. People don't understand that this is a real thing, right? And you found a way. You was like, no, my dad wouldn't want me to do this. You know what I'm saying? My dad would want, he He passed this on to me so I can give to other people. Same thing. You know what? That's crazy. I said the same thing. When my son passed away and my mother shortly after, and I do the work that I do now, I never take credit for anything, any opportunity that comes my way because I'm humble. I'm humble and I'm appreciative of just being in the same room and being able to share and, like you said, inspire others who are walking similar paths. I said, you know what? They passed away so I can give the message of hope and inspire them, you know what I'm saying, to grab onto something and not make a permanent decision over a temporary situation. So, go ahead. I'm gonna let you piggyback off of that, brother.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, like I said, there, it's almost like it was a sacrifice, and I
Right,
think and I think we need to see it as that was their calling, and it may not make any sense to us at first, but I'm sure that it's honorable to talk about it and to hopefully save other people
mm,
from
yes,
going through that journey, because it's painful to not only that individual but also the people that witness it. It's painful,
right,
and that's how really we keep their memory alive too. Not the painful part of it, but knowingly that we're using the pain for good and to help other people.
right,
And
yes,
and I think that's what a lot of us need to do, and not just because a lot of people there's and I get it, it's painful, and I get that, but there's a lot of people that will no longer talk about their loved ones because it's so painful. But there's a reason
that's
for
right.
that pain. There's a reason for that pain. Let's not go through this pain in vain. If we went through the pain, let's utilize it to help other people succumb and overcome their things.
Now, let me ask you a question because you know what I'm saying that here that's interesting that you said and I get it. I want to acknowledge one of our watchers, Lakaya. Thank you for tuning in and leaving us a comment. Let us know if you have any questions while we're going along. We'd be happy to answer those things. But I got a question because a lot of people um, that pain that we experience, right? We found out a way to work with the pain, to turn the pain into something, you know what I'm saying, honorable, respectable, and things like that. Now, on the other end, there are people that get caught up in the pain and they get caught up into that pain loop, right? You know what I'm saying? They don't know how to come out of that.
Mhm.
And so now my question is when you have someone that's in a pain loop, now I know what my approach would be and things like that. But how would you go about getting them out of that pain loop to get them to see the honor and what I'm saying the value in that pain to help them move forward and jump to the next section?
I I'm gonna use the example of my mom when my father passed away.
Hmm.
It was extremely hard for my mom, and I I would go to my mom's house and she was just like really down on herself and really was giving up. And I had a heart to heart conversation with her, and I told her, Mom, I love you with all my heart. There's nothing I would not do for you. But you have to understand that you have children. Yes, we're adults already, but you also have grandchildren. You have something to live for. My father is gone. We can't change that. But we have to understand that he's at peace. He's no longer in pain. But what are we going to do with our lives? Now, this is before I wrote the book. This is before I was in this chapter in my life. This is before that, right? I was still working out. I wasn't disabled yet, so my mind was a little different back then. But at the same time, it's almost like I already knew, right? And I
Right.
told her, how are we going to use his pain for a benefit? Is what I told her. And because I can't come over here and see you in this condition because this also affects me too. Now, I can't bring my daughter over here and see you like this because that affects her too. So either we find a reason to live, which you should, or we're going to find a reason to not be here. And guess what? Your wish is your command. That's what's going to
Wow.
happen because you're going to give up on yourself. So if you want to see me, and if you want to see my daughter, and probably if you want to see your other children, we're going to need you to be strong and really come out of this because we know it hurts. We know that because it hurts us too.
Right.
But there's so much life to live. And this is how we honor my dad by living our life and not forgetting him, but utilizing that pain in some positive way, like loving on your children, loving on your grandchildren, and talking about their grandfather, the
Right.
good times, the good moments. That's how they, like the little ones that are not even born yet, because we have like 4 or 5. She has 4 or 5 grandkids that never met my dad. Now you can talk about. You're going to be able to talk about him in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and not just about that he was an alcoholic, but also the good parts of him because he has a lot of good parts about him. You
I
know,
love that, man.
and that's
I
really how she started getting, lifting it up when I had that conversation. It wasn't an easy conversation. It was really hard for me because this was my mom, and I was
right.
trying to, you know, breathe life into my mom by the words that I was saying.
Yeah.
But I prayed to God, and I have a lot of faith in God, and I believe that God put a lot of words in my heart that I was able to speak to her in a disciplinary manner, gentle
Right.
manner at the same time.
Right. See, I love that, man. I love that because I wish somebody was there to speak those words to me when I was going through my struggle, right? Um, because I didn't have it. I had to, I went through my go through,
Yeah,
like we always do, right?
yeah,
I went through my go through, and I learned through trials and tribulations, through stumbling, getting drugged through the mud, and at that time, at that time, my relationship with God was so bumpy. I was
hmm,
so hurt, and I couldn't understand why he hurt me so bad.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
considered that I was a loyal and obedient son, and that I was serving. I was doing exactly what I was called to do, which was be a good father, be a good man to help others who couldn't help themselves, right? But to teach my son to be better than me. So when my son passed, I think that's what started the transition of me being starting to be angry. And then when my mother passed away, I was going, "Oh, you're just going to leave me out here in the world? I'm an orphan now, right?" Which, in the same sense, I had been alone for so long, right?
hmm,
You know what I'm saying? But it was, I guess, for me, it was the thought of I can still pick up the phone and call my mother. My father was already gone. My younger brother was already gone. But it was the thought of I could still pick up the phone and call my mother. There was some sort of comfort in it, right?
yeah,
To know that she was there. So when my last parent passed away, when my mother passed away, it was like, oh, you're just gonna leave me in this world alone now. And I tell you, that road was so vast. It was so bumpy and it was so lonely. It was cold, right? And for a long time, it was very dark for me. And I
hmm,
learned how to live within darkness. I didn't need to know where I was going because I was wandering around endlessly, at least
hmm,
what I thought was endlessly, right? And I ended up in different places and meeting some different people, and I gave up. I said, you know what, no more. I don't want to do it. And I laughed about it because I was so detached from my emotions, from um, any sort of person. I was so detached from it. It's like, who cares? Who cares if I'm gone? Right? I don't even care. I don't. I if I don't do this, let me go find a cave so I can go hide out somewhere. Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with not being around anyone. And just like yourself, God said, hold on. Why you keep making this about you? man, this ain't about you. And I tell people this all the time, man. I've wanted to be the victim so much because I'm the one who had to go through the physical experiences, right? I'm like, well, I'm the one who had to go through it, right? And God said, oh, oh, let me get this straight. Oh, you had to go through the physical experiences, and so you took what I did personal. You know what I'm saying? So now you mad at me for giving you what you asked for. Remember, you asked for wisdom. So I put you in situations to help you learn. You asked for patience. So I put you on the road and slowed you down. I made it long enough because I knew you was going to get tired. But it's what you do when you get tired. It's when, you know what I'm saying, it's going to help me develop who you are. And I was like, huh, really? So you think this is funny, huh? He's like, no, actually, I think this is hilarious that you made all this whole thing about you. And I was like, man, you know what? I ain't talking to you no more. And then he was like, hold on. Just so you know, the people that I've taken was never yours. Those are my children, right? You know what I'm saying? They was mine before they was yours. They was just on loan to you to teach you, to help you get to where you are, right? He goes, but the whole time I wrote a book. And I think you should read this book. And I said, what is that book? He goes, you'll know when you get to the first page. And that's when I realized it was the book of Tony. It was the book of the gift that was inside of me. And he goes, when you get done reading that book, which you'll never get done reading that book, but when you get to the very special place in that book, you'll know which one I'm talking about. Then come back and ask me a question. And I did. And the question was, what is this? What is this? He goes, it's your contract. Because now you know why you're here. Just like yourself, you always knew, right? He was like, it's your contract. Once you sign on that dotted line, I got everything for you. If you're willing to walk with me. Not ask where we're going, but walk with me. I said, yeah, I'm willing. I've tried everything else. Why not? And I tell you, he's brought me along the paths of meeting individuals like yourself and so many other great, amazing people, and things like that. And you know, we talk about God and talk about your gift and everything. But what people don't understand is that it took a long time to get to where you were, right? You became disabled.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. How did you become disabled?
Before I say how I got disabled, I just want to say that some of us that have a powerful light within us have to go through the darkest places so we can lead people out of that dark place.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that contract that you said. This is what we signed up for.
Yeah.
We signed to reach God's people. And God's people, some of them are in a very dark place, and those are the places that we said we were going to go through to lead them out. And some of the times to today's modern world, it looks like a lot of adversity, a lot of painful moments that we have to go there and make it through there so people can see that. And that's when the light exposes to them and say, my God, I'm supposed to be following this, not this individual, but what's inside this individual.
Right.
Because what he's saying is resonating. Now I got to find out where is he getting that from. And once we start saying that God, the faith in God, and God led me and God saved me and God carried me, now they know, okay, what he's talking about is God. That's what he's talking about. And now it's funny because I've always said, because people tell me when my daughter went to university, aren't you scared for your daughter because she's by herself in a city away from you and your mom's? Like, first of all, let me tell you this. I know what child God, I know what child God helped me raise. But I also know that my daughter is not, she might be my daughter, but she's God's child.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter has her own journey, and then I cannot sabotage that journey because I'm afraid something's going to happen to her.
Right, right.
Now, that's not say to say that we're not cautious if we don't talk about certain things. But what I'm not going to do is stop her from living her life and going through her journey and learning her own lessons. I'm not going to do that because I don't have that authority, right? So, and I think that's important. So everybody's got their own journey, and the struggles and whatnot. Those are the dark places, and that's where our light shines to lead people out. Uh,
Right.
and my injury. So I was working in a job in industry that I was there for 20 plus years in warehouse distribution logistics. I was in management, and I had an accident, and that accident disabled me for 3.5 years. It dislocated one of my lower discs, one of my mid spine, and one of my neck. So I couldn't stand, sit, or walk, or even lay down for long periods of time. And I was heavily medicated. I was depressed. I had suicidal thoughts at that time again for a second time. And I was like a really, really dark place. I was seeing things that I shouldn't have been able to see, but I saw some ugly things in life, the evil part of life, the evil part of world, spirituality, and whatnot. And but one day I realized this is the bottom of the pit.
Mm-hmm.
This is as low as I can go. So if this is the bottom, that means everything that I go doing forward will be creating a progression. So I got off the medication. I got started getting my mental clarity back. I was starting to again feel God's presence again, which is his feeling, his nurturing, hugging me and whatnot, this knowing that I've always had when I was a young kid. I started seeing visions again of what my life could look like and potential and whatnot. So I was starting to be myself again, the person that God was always knew that I was going to become and would be. But I had to go through that dark place to understand what it looks like. So when I have conversations with people, I'm not just talking a theory or a book. I'm talking about this is what I lived through, and this is what I witnessed, this is what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how I was able to get myself out of there. And because of that, I've been able to help people out of suicide because of that. I've helped them recover from grief through pain, through adversity, in helping them in ways to how to reinvent themselves because I went through those parts of my life.
Right.
So if somebody asked me, George, do you regret going through a lot of these things? Like, if I regret that, I wouldn't be myself and who I am today. Therefore, I wouldn't be able to help the people that I'm assigned to help. So
Mm.
for that
Yeah.
reason, I can't say that I do for that reason. And also, I knew that I wasn't alone because at no way in that time did I feel fearful. I wasn't afraid. I just felt like I was numb, but not
Mm.
afraid.
Okay. Okay.
I just knew that I was there. I knew I didn't belong there, but I wasn't afraid. It's almost like in that dark place, I wasn't allowed to be touched by anything or anyone in that place. That I still belong to God. I was still his child.
Yes.
So I was meant to be there, to experience that, to see the ugly parts and the dark things. I was meant to see them. So now when I talk to people, like I said, I don't talk about theory or what ifs or I'm not, I don't know. I can't imagine what you went through. No, I know what you're going through because I was there with you too. I was there,
Mm.
stuck there too, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But now I can tell you that if I survive, that means you're going to survive too.
Right.
But my question to you will be this: how strong is your faith? Do you believe? Do you believe that you're special? Do you believe that you are here for something greater? Because if you do, believe me when I tell you this, you will make it to your life's purpose if you have faith. And you're not going to get clocked out until it's meant for you to clock out. And I can assure you that that's not your place to be clocked out at.
Now, see, I can definitely relate to that, right? Because I could tell you, and to whomever listening, there was a time where my faith, I went from having faith like nobody's business, faith of a mustard seed, just that much faith, and I used to watch it multiply into many, many things. When my son passed away, my faith dwindled, right? You know what I'm saying? Down to where I didn't want nothing to do with God. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want, hey, stop talking to me. I don't want nothing, all these things I don't want it. And then it's like I'm changing that. I don't want it. Right? You know what I'm saying? My faith was not there. I said, I just want to be left alone. Again, let me walk off. So I'm done with society. I'm done with, you know what I'm saying? I'm done with you. I'm done with everything. Just if you're not going to take me out of here, you're going to keep taking people away from me. Allow me to go find myself a hole in a cave or a hole in the side of the mountain somewhere until you decide that you're going to take me away from this. And if not, the hell with you. I don't want nothing to do with you. Just let me be. Let me go and live my life alone, because that's where I am now, right? It took a long time, and I say this to say this. I don't regret those moments.
Yeah.
For in those moments, I was giving something different, right? I was giving stronger faith. I was giving a different sort of relationship, not just with God, but with the people that I lost. I didn't know this. We only know what we know, and what we don't know, we still got to learn, right? You know what I'm saying? That's the purpose of learning and being a student of the world and the path that we're on, right? You know what I'm saying? Because just because you don't know something, it just gives you more opportunity to go out there and learn it, right? You know what I'm saying? And God has a strange way of bringing the right people along to teach you those lessons. And sometimes you may like the lessons, and sometimes you may not like the lessons, right? But it's always a benefit to what a path that you're walking. I didn't understand the path that I was walking. I didn't understand that what I do now, working in grief, helping men, and being able to do the things I do, writing a book, all these different things. I didn't know that, right? You know what I'm saying? But I was quick to say, why me? I was quick to say, why are you doing this to me? I was quick to be a victim because I knew nothing else. I knew how to be a villain. And now I'm learning how to be a victim because I thought it was about me. I took it personal. I really took it personal. So, and I say this so those people that are listening right now, so they understand that it's okay. Look, man, we understand. Even if you don't believe, if you believe, okay. If you don't believe, that's fine too. Find something that, you know what I'm saying, as long as what you're doing is making you a good human being, I don't care what you believe or what you don't believe. You know what I'm saying? That's not up for me. That's up for you. I just want you to be good people. Be willing to walk the path that you're on and be willing to explore the opportunities that the path is giving you. Everything is your choice, right? You know what I'm saying? Don't never let another person choose anything else for you. It's your choice, but never let the situation dictate your outcome, because your situation is going to help build the character into who you're becoming and get what you asked for out of this life. So it took me a long time to get back there. It really did. I got my butt whipped so bad, man. I really did. You know what I'm saying? Because when I started on that, brother, you know what I'm saying? I was like, the voice just kept saying, follow that path. I'm over here looking like, are you going to clear it out first? Shoot, man, do you not see that big old stove sitting right there with that washing machine and all of this? And I realized, and I use that as a great analogy, right? Because when I started going to it, I realized that washing machine, that stove, that microwave, that broken down car, and that beat up furniture and things like that was things that I had to pull out of myself. It was a reflection of the weight that I was carrying inside of me. And when I realized that, hey, you know what I'm saying, in order for me, because I can see bits and pieces of the path, I can't see the full one. I can, because it's cluttered. I realized that the path was clearing me out. All of those obstacles that I had to move, and when I was tired, and you know what I'm saying, and sleeping on the busted up couches and things, it was part of everything that was a part of me. All of those things that I had to get rid of, all of this, you know what I'm saying, all of the junk that I had to clear out and heal from, you know what I'm saying, and as hard as it was worth it. And I say that because if I can inspire the next person to find an analogy that works with them, that keeps them moving forward, I encourage them to do it, just like yourself, right? You know what I'm saying? Because that's why we do what the things that we do. We had to go through our go-through. We had to clear the junk out of our lives to be able to inspire others to get the junk out of theirs. So, you know what I'm saying? If you can find an analogy that works like that, that you can apply to your life in real time, do it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have that, grab onto one of ours. It's okay to grab onto somebody else's beliefs till you can develop your own.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's what makes us strong. That's what gives us community and connection and things like that. So, you know, yeah. I mean, have you ever experienced? I mean, of course you have. You know what I'm saying? You're here right now, and you're doing the things that you're doing. You know, so let's talk about that for a minute, man.
No, you're 100% right, because I mean, there's so many things in front of us that it's going to feel like a punishment sometimes, the things that we're going through, but it's not punishment. And I tell people that, similar to raising a child, we have to discipline our children. We don't punish our children, we discipline our children. So sometimes life is trying to discipline us, and so we have to go through certain things for us to become the people that we're meant to become, to be molded into who we are. Because there's no way we can help somebody if we haven't gotten through certain things. And both of us, me and you, we want to help people, but how can we help somebody if we haven't even experienced their pain or their discomfort? We can't help them because we can't talk from a book, because those books, a lot of those lessons in a book, they're theory, they're what ifs. And if this happens, no. This is how we deal with it, because this is what I went through also. I'm on your team, and I'm going to help you through this, and I'll carry you through this if I have to, if we need to, as long as you're removing the layers off as we're going through this thing. Because I'm not going to just carry you in vain either, because God doesn't even do that for us either. But I'll carry you as long as you're removing these layers off. I'm going to help you, you know. Like a soldier in the army, somebody gets shot and one of them is limping and the other one's carrying them and the other one's still shooting in the field. You're carrying your partners with you. You're carrying your people with you. But they're not going to do it for you.
Right.
See what I mean? But for that, we have to be there, and we have to have these experiences that we call life to help us have relatable experiences with the people that we say we want to help.
Right.
And for that reason, also, I would never remove anything, you know, as much as pain that I've gone through. And again, I felt like it was punishment. But then looking back, I was like, no, that wasn't punishment. That was discipline. I had to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I'm coming out wiser, more knowledgeable, even stronger than I was before. A colleague of mine, one day, I think it was last year, I walked into a building to an event, and I was standing at the door, and she approached me and she looked at me and she's like, George, a lot of people are looking at you funny. And I'm like, why? Because you're standing there at the door, and you standing there, you seem like you're in command, staying at the door, and you haven't even walked in yet. You demand command is what you're asking for there. And then she's like, but that's just who you are. You're just being humble. You're being you. You're not requiring command or being in charge. You're not asking that. But your posture, your attitude, and your strength is commanding that.
Yeah.
So this is what life does to us. So we can walk into a room and people can say, here comes someone inside this room that has gone through some stuff. He's got something to offer this group. He's got stories. He's gone through a journey. We're going to learn something from him because you can see it in his eyes. You can see it in his posture. He sticks out his chest. That is who I want to be led by.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what life
that.
makes us. That is who we become. And
Right.
that is where we do the biggest impact.
See, I love that. Right. You know, a lot of times I don't think people understand the work that goes into getting to where we are. Right. And if a person doesn't have the heart, if doesn't have the drive, and doesn't have the why to grab onto to help them through those hard times. I've heard this quote, and I'm going to put it in there. Hopefully I do it justice. But most people will pass out from exhaustion once they realize the amount of work and time and blood, sweat, equity that has to go into the process of you becoming who God has called you to be. You know what I'm saying? Most people will pass out from exhaustion if they don't have a strong why to grab onto. If their faith is you know what I'm saying, is weak. Most people don't understand what it takes and how mentally, physically, spiritually exhausting that it is, and how much of a sacrifice that you have to make in order to become who you're meant to be in this world.
You know, Tony, God will give us a glimpse, an image, and a knowing that we're going to create something great, right? He will do that.
Right.
But he's not going to show us the map because a lot of us will tap out before we even start it.
Exactly.
We'll see it like, oh no, I can't do this.
Not like, oh, you mean tell me I got to go jump across the fiery pit?
Yeah, exactly. We won't do it. We won't do it. But the thing is that what we don't understand is that, and what we need to understand is that we're stronger than we know and think. And even if we deplete our energy, the will, or whatever, he will fill up our tank again at the next rest stop. Because there has been so many times where I have said, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll go to sleep a little sad because I have my moments too. And then I wake up in the morning with all this energy, like I want to conquer the world again. It's like God saying, like, we're not giving up here. We got stuff to do.
I got more for you.
But now I got the strength again. You know, so he'll fill up my faith again. He'll fill up my tank. I'm ready again the next morning. So I have downtimes too, but they're minimal. They're not days, they're not weeks, they're not months. They're minimal now.
Yeah.
Because now I understand is that my faith is so strong right now that people ask me, George, I don't understand. I was like, you don't understand what? Why aren't you an asshole? Why aren't you mean? Why aren't you bitter? I don't get it. So what you're saying is that you want me to be that way then? Well, no. I'm not saying that I want you to be there that way. And just, I don't understand why you're not, based on everything you've experienced. Now, and they don't know everything that I've gone through. I mean, a lot of people will pass out if I tell them what I went through. They'll cry. Exactly. They'll feel sorry for me, right? But the thing is that I know I'm being protected. I know I'm being guided, and I know I'm being carried the moments where I'm not able to carry on my own. I know that. That's how strong my faith is. But there's been many times where I wanted to give up.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, he holds me, he carries me, he fills my tank up again. And I'm going again, but like if nothing happened. I don't even look back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. See, I love that you say that, because it goes into some of the lessons that I've learned following that same path that you just talked about right there. And it's quotes that's been around forever. And one of the quotes read that, you know what I'm saying, it was actually a TV show, a movie, a football movie, and one of the players got up and he answered his coach. He said, "It's not that we're inadequate; it's that we're powerful beyond what we give ourselves." Right? You know what I'm saying? It just means that when you think that, you know what I'm saying, that you limit yourself on how far you can take yourself, which actually goes into another great quote that I learned, you know what I'm saying, that I really wish people would could grasp onto and things like that. When you go on this journey and you have this vision of the path that you're on and the things that you're supposed to do, you know what I'm saying? Instead of limiting yourself, be the voice that tell yourself, and this will be the thing that gets them over the hump. The laws of physics no longer apply to you. Think about that, because now you're manifesting everything inside of here out into the world. The laws of physics no longer apply, meaning that without limited belief, the sky is the opportunity that you can take at any time and say, I see this, but I also see what's beyond there. And that's what I'm going to shoot for. Like this right here is just the middle point getting to where I need to be. Right? You know what I'm saying? Or having the life that you want, or having the, you know what I'm saying, the business, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is, right? It's all about you. When you go through the process, when people figure out the process, I can't tell them the process because they'll never believe it.
Nope.
They'll never believe it, right? You know what I'm saying? You have to actually go through the process, be willing to receive and submit to the process, right? But a lot of people, I don't think, are they really have it up here about what the process is. It's so simple that if I told you, it'll blow your mind, right? You know what I'm saying? And you know this too, right? Mm-hmm. But the truest words that will ever be told to you when you say that, hey, I am going through the process. I said, if you're truly going through the process, fall in love with it. Fall in love with the process. And if people can get that, we'll see a huge turnaround in this world.
I have met people in my life that their journey is so inspirational to me.
Right. Yeah.
Because what they conquered and what they overcome, that's something to be admired.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, they loved what their journey was and what their calling was so much that there was nothing that was going to stop them. And mm-hmm. That's to be admired.
Yes. You know, yes.
Same thing to what I'm doing. I mean, my faith is so strong and my purpose is so clear that I'm not even looking, like you said, for things that makes, I'm not even looking for things to make sense or to find the logic behind it. Because if God put it in my heart, he's going to make a way where there is no way. He's going to connect me with people that I can only dream of connecting with, and reach the people, the amount of people that I only wish I could have. He's going to make that happen. Do I know how it's going to happen? I don't need to. He's going to say when and how he's going to do that, because that's how strong my faith is now. But it has been tested many, 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 many times. But there's things that have happened in my life. For instance, how did I survive my journey? I'm like a walking miracle, right? How did I become an inventor? How did I become a real estate agent? How did I become a published author? How did I become a public speaker? These are 4 amazing things. Now, and I was living a great career as in management. That's 5 in one lifetime.
Right, yeah.
See what I'm saying? So I'm sometimes I look at it, I was like, wow, the things that I've been able to experience, some people don't experience in a lifetime.
Exactly.
So for me, it doesn't have to make sense. If he puts it in my heart, he puts it in my mind, I'm going for it because that's what he wants me to do.
Yeah.
And he'll put me in position, and he'll put me where I need to be at.
And you're now using your experience in real estate to help people create generational wealth, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so how did that tie into, you know what I'm saying, how did you get into real estate tying to helping other people? Because I know we're servants, right? I have a pretty good idea,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll lay it out on the line for us, brother.
So when I was 14 years old, my dad was a handyman, and we were doing kitchen and bathroom models and rehabbing and flipping properties, which I later found out that these properties were my uncle's properties.
Mm.
So when I got injured, and after I got off my disability and all the medication and whatnot, and I self-medicated with natural herbs and whatnot, and how to strengthen my core, I heard for the very first time the whisper, God's whisper, because I was like, what am I supposed to do now? He said, real estate. And it grabbed my attention. I'm like, okay, that's not far-fetched, real estate. Because my foundation is I've been doing kitchen and bathroom rehabbing and doing flips with my dad and my uncle since I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
So I utilized as the foundation of my real estate business. So I actually closed 12 deals my first 16 months as a brand new real estate agent.
Wow.
And the real estate, and that was able to pay my bills and whatnot, get myself back on my feet after my injury. I was already divorced. I had already lost everything because of that injury. So I was rebuilding myself. I was reinventing myself, and that's why I talk about reinvention in my book because of that. I had to reinvent myself, and then that process, and then COVID hit, and everything closed down, and I had the resources, and that's when I got the feeling of my book, and like it hugged me. It's time to write the book. I'm like, wait a minute, everything's locked out, everything's closed down. What do you mean write the book? This doesn't make any sense. Well, we were beyond logic already. We were going on
Yes.
faith. You know what I'm saying? We're going
Yes.
on faith. So then I felt that feeling again. And then I got this nurturing feeling. I was like, okay, this is God telling me this is time to write the book. And I started writing the book. So the book was written when I'm still a real estate agent now. As a real estate agent, I talk about real estate in my book. I talk about when my grandfather migrated here, he was sending money to my grandmother in Mexico, and he was buying plots of land. So he was a landowner. He was buying plots of land in Mexico. So I use that also as a foundation. My father's experience as a handyman, I was using that as a foundation. And then I bought my first property when I was 21, my second at 25, my third at 27. Then I bought a nineplex, before the market crashed. So I had all this knowledge and foundation, and I put that in my book. So every time I meet somebody, a client, I give them a free copy of my book because I talk about real estate in my book. Even though the message is answer the call about finding your gifts, your talents, and pursuing your life purpose, because I believe my grandfather did that. I believe my dad did that. I believe I did that. I believe my daughter did that. So that's why it made sense. And God's message made sense to be a part of that book and not be called American Inventor like I wanted to call it, because I'm also an inventor. But that's how I'm able to help families with real estate, is bringing them that foundation of real estate that I've had since I was a young man, a young kid at 14. And it's worked for me because, and it's really worked for me because I've helped people, very young men, 20, 21-year-olds invest in real estate. A 23-year-old buy their dream home as a second purchase. I helped them with the first purchase, then they bought their dream home at the second purchase. 23-year-olds. So they appreciate me opening up to them. They appreciate the way I teach them, because everybody that I encounter, I teach in some way, shape, or form, whether it's life, whether it's lessons, whether it's real estate. And they appreciate that openness of everything that I share with them. And what I do now is I actually give them a free copy. Every time I meet a new client, I give them a copy of my book. So they get to know me on this intimate level. So now they say, like, George, I really want to do business with you. I want to work with you because I feel that, like, I know you now. I can trust you because you were so open about your journey. And I can appreciate that.
See, I'm gonna have to give you a copy of that book, man, because as always, I'm always intrigued, and you inspired me as well. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the words that you speak, the path that you've been on, it's like we've just walked parallel paths, right? And I'm always, I'm always looking to learn and things like that. I'm still a student in this world, and so much further to go, man. And you are truly an amazing person, man. You're truly an amazing person.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, man, as we begin to wrap this up and everything, um, thank you. Thank you for reaching out and wanting to be on the show and have such an amazing conversation with me. Thank you for sharing your story and things like that. Beautiful, beautiful, man. Beautiful person. I'm glad that I've met you as well. Before we close out, I always ask my guests this. If you can give the audience some words of encouragement, what would you give them?
I just want to remind people that if you believe you're special and you feel that you're here for something greater than yourself, listen to that, because that is true. That is who you are. We're also all given a gift, a talent, and a life purpose. And we're all being called to follow the calling on our life. So I can promise you this, that if you do choose to follow your calling, you will feel fulfilled. I promise you that, because there's something about giving and sharing to give other people. That's when you really
Right.
found fulfillment. Now, yes, we do have to make money to pay the bills, and yes, and that's great. But it's when you really are giving, that is the real word of fulfillment, when you're really giving.
I love that, man. How can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram on my name at George_V Gonzalez, and George is spelled Jorge, Jorge. And if you go to my bio, you can actually find my links. You can find a way to access a free copy of my book. You also see my invention that I invented. You will also see a mini real estate course that I just created about a couple of months ago that is there as well too. You can purchase if you like, if you want to get into real estate. And basically all my marketing stuff is under my bio. And if you ever have any questions about anything that you see on my platforms of any kind, please reach out, send me a DM. I want to, hear from you guys and hopefully help you in any way, shape, or form.
Oh man, now you guys see it, man. And also his links it will be in the descriptions as well. If you're just tuning in, or if you've been watching us the whole time, check out the links below. You guys can find him. All his social media, everything is sitting right there. Get a copy of his book, please, by all means. This man is truly, truly amazing. He knows his stuff. I promise you. And with that being said, if you guys have made it this long and you haven't already, and you enjoy these conversations, do me a favor, and you want to support the channel, go hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Leave us a comment, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified each and every time that we drop a new episode. And share it with someone that you think that can benefit from these conversations that we're having. I am Tony Lynch. I'm your host. And with that being said, thank you guys for all the support, love, and in everything that you inspire us to keep doing and keep bringing to the table. And until next time, we will see you. You guys keep your head up, and we love you. Peace.